All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're completely flipping the script on competitive government exams. We're tossing out the need for those super expensive coaching centers and honestly, those outdated, exhausting study methods. Instead, we are looking at the ultimate modern playbook for cracking these massive tests. We're going to break down the science, the systems, and the psychology used by the top 1% of candidates.
Okay, let's dive into this. As you can see mapped out here, we've got 5 core chapters today. 1. Master your exam mindset. 2. Hack your brain's hardware. 3. Build smart study systems. 4. Win the mock test game. And 5. Ace the final interview.
So let's kick things off with a pretty massive reality check. 99%. Yeah, research on the psychology of successful exam candidates reveals a truly shocking truth. 99% of aspirants don't fail because they aren't smart enough. Think about it. Anyone dedicating real time to these exams has the baseline intelligence required. They fail because of emotional fatigue and burnout. The syllabus is just huge, the uncertainty is sky high, and this immense pressure tests your psychological strength way more than your intellectual capacity.
Chapter 1, Master Your Exam Mindset.
It really starts right here, with this incredibly powerful realization from successful candidates. I am a civil servant in training. Or, a banker in training, or a police officer in training. Winners use this brilliant psychological trick called identity alignment. Subconsciously, they stop telling themselves they're just studying for an exam. Instead, they actually adopt the identity of the future role they want. When you do this, your habits naturally shift. Reading the daily newspaper, it isn't some boring chore anymore, it's just what a future officer does. It completely removes that mental friction.
Next up, we have result-oriented versus process-oriented mindsets. Look, motivation is a great feeling, right? But it's just a spark. It burns out fast. You absolutely cannot rely on feeling inspired every single day to tackle a marathon syllabus. The most successful students rely on daily discipline and process orientation. By just asking yourself, am I doing something a little bit better today? Instead of constantly stressing over that final exam results, you massively decrease your stress and, ironically, increase your long-term performance.
Chapter 2. Hack your brain's hardware.
So the crucial point is understanding what researchers call the cognitive trinity: memory, attention, and problem solving. These are the 3 core pillars of cognitive functioning you absolutely require for high-stakes exams. Memory helps you store and retrieve data under extreme pressure. Attention keeps you laser-focused on relevant information while blocking out all those modern distractions. And problem solving? Well, that allows you to take what you've memorized and adapt it to those really tricky, unfamiliar questions they love to throw at you.
But here is where a lot of students literally just break their own hardware. So many aspirants equate resting with being lazy, thinking that studying until they physically collapse equals success. But science shows us that sleep is actually when your brain saves all that newly learned data to your hard drive. If you're exhausted, your cognitive hardware just glitches out. Scheduled rest and mindfulness, they aren't distractions from your preparation. They are absolutely essential parts of the process.
Chapter 3. Build smart study systems.
Let's talk about a super dangerous trap: task switching cost. This is basically the massive amount of time and cognitive energy you waste when you bounce between different subjects on the exact same day. Every single time you switch from math over to English and then to reasoning, your brain has to fully reboot its context. And that burns through your mental energy reserves incredibly fast. Honestly, it just kills your productivity.
And this brilliantly illustrates the perfect fix to minimize that switching cost. Instead of juggling everything every single day, block out entire days for just one subject. Mondays and Tuesdays are purely for quant. Wednesday is all about English. Thursdays and Fridays are strictly for reasoning. And your weekends? Dedicated solely to mock tests. This simple, clean system lets you drop into a deep, uninterrupted state of flow.
Now, what about structuring those actual daily study blocks? Because, let's face it, staring at a textbook for 4 hours straight is basically torture. Enter the Pomodoro Focus Hack. Step 1. Work with intense focus for 25 minutes. Step 2. Take a strict 5-minute break. Step 3. Repeat. It's a hugely student-friendly hack, giving your undivided attention to one task for a short burst, and then actually giving your brain a moment to breathe completely prevents that mental fatigue we talked about earlier.
Chapter 4. Win the mock test game.
First off, you need to deeply understand the strategic difference between the stages of your exam. The prelims are essentially a 100-meter sprint. Your strategy here is pure speed. Pick a question, solve it instantly, move on.
But the mains, that is a full-on marathon simulation. You have to sit and focus for hours on end, making really careful choices about which questions to attempt. Your practice sessions must simulate these extreme endurance conditions perfectly.
So how often should you actually be testing yourself? Well, here's an exact timeline progression. In the beginner stage, just aim for 1 mock test a week. Nothing crazy. Once you reach the intermediate stage, push it to 2 per week. And in the final stage, right before the big day, you should be aggressively knocking out 3 to 4 a week. This systematically builds your stamina so that by the time exam day arrives, all that intense pressure feels entirely normal. But hey, just taking the test isn't enough, right? You have to analyze it. You need an error log strategy. Don't just check the answer key to see if you got a question right or wrong. You must log your psychological state during that question. Were you anxious? Did you miss a core concept? Or was it literally just a silly calculation mistake? Logging your thoughts and emotions helps you truly understand and permanently fix your own unique error patterns.
Chapter 5, Ace the Final Interview.
Summarizing the top advice from past successful candidates, here are your core interview hacks. First, master every single detail on your application form, because that is exactly where most of their questions are going to come from. Second, practice before a mirror. I know it sounds a bit basic, but it heavily refines your body language and builds tremendous confidence. And third, keep your answers concise and close-ended. Don't ramble and accidentally lead the panel into asking you about a topic you know nothing about. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is this specific piece of advice, saying "I don't know" with a smile. Unapologetic honesty is your absolute greatest asset under pressure. The panel does not expect you to be a walking human encyclopedia. If you genuinely don't know an answer, don't get flustered and absolutely do not make something up. Confidently and politely admit it with a smile. It shows incredible composure, maturity, and self-awareness. Let's see how this all builds into our final overarching thought for today. Are you just passing an exam, or are you building the character of a future leader? Think about it. This whole grueling process, the discipline, the strategy, the resilience, it's not just a test of what you know, it is a test of who you are becoming. By mastering your mind, your systems, and your emotions, you aren't just hacking a test, you're setting yourself up for life. Thank you so much for joining me in this explainer. I really hope this playbook inspires you. Stay focused, and I'll catch you next time.